Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe, and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. Greatly appreciate it. So, human nature's funny, isn't it? Human nature is funny. We're so full of fear, aren't we? Human beings are so full of fear. If you think about it, we really haven't evolved from our time wandering the savannas. We're afraid of everything. We're so scared of everything. That's almost the first thing that happens to us. Is that whenever anything new happens, whenever anything innovative happens, whenever we come across anything new and different, or in a situation where things are not quite the same as they were before, and we can't figure it out, we can't suss it out, whether we do it physically or visibly, we quiver or we just do it internally, we quiver in fear. We're afraid of the new. We cower from the new. We don't act on the new. In fact, we step back and we wait for somebody else to act on the new. In fact, we're in so much fear all the time. That's our normal response to anything new. Is that when we see somebody actually moving forward or doing something about the new, moving into the new, acting on the new, then our mimetic desires kick in and go, hey, I want to do the same thing that person's doing. I want to take advantage of that fact. That's why social proof is so important. Isn't it sad? Isn't it sad that human beings are like this? Isn't it sad that our normal default feeling when we come across something new is fear? When we come across something different is to cower in fear? Can you imagine how amazing the human race would be if we did the opposite? If instead of cowering in fear at something new, instead of cowering in fear at change, we embraced it? Or we at least looked at it neutrally? We didn't look at it in a negative way? Wouldn't it be amazing? Can you imagine what the human race would be like, what our progress would be like, where we would be right now? We might be, if you go back into science fiction, it's 2022 for God's sakes. Where do you think we would be in 2022? We might have immortality by now. We might have solved cancer. We might have solved heart disease. We might have solved all the biggest killers of humankind. We might have solved all of the biggest problems of humankind if we just looked at change and the new in a different way. Instead of cowering in fear, we moved forward into it. We embraced it. And we said, bring on the change. We're so afraid of doing things. We have to step back and think to ourselves, is this a good idea? We don't even know if it's possible. We constantly question ourselves before we do something, instead of just doing it to see if it can be done. Where do you think all the inventions and innovations of the early 20th century came from? Where do you think the car came from? Where do you think the airplane came from? Where do you think the telephone came from? The internet? Where do you think all these things came from? They came from individuals saying, let's give it a try. The ones who didn't cower in fear, but said, let's try it. That's where innovation comes from. That's where the future comes from. That's where improving the lot of humanity comes from. For those bold people who don't fear change, who embrace change and embrace the new. Wouldn't it be great if we all did that? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.